Welcome to the best gambling podcast on the internet. Now we have week 8. Week 7 was another big week for us. I only have 4 words to say. Money, 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 money. And here we go again. Let's get to the first game. We got Atlanta at the Carolina Panthers. This is a tough one, and I've been thinking all week. I'm leaning towards Carolina to win because when you look at Atlanta's secondary, they can't stop anyone. And Teddy Bridgewater has actually been playing good football. But I want to look at Matt Rule here, and Matt Rule is the reason why I like this team. Everyone's talking this week about how the Cowboys, they don't play hard and they quit on the team. But you have to give Carolina respect because I've been saying all year, I don't know if there's a team playing harder than the Carolina Panthers. And Atlanta, I just feel like they'll make more mistakes this game. Carolina wins and covers. Next game, we got Indianapolis at Detroit. I got Indianapolis to win in the cover, and this Detroit thing's been cute, and this podcast has made some good money betting Detroit, exploiting Vegas's underrating of Detroit. But at the end of the day, this is the Lions, and you think the Lions have turned a corner, and you think they're going to stop the run. That's really the big matchup this game. Can Detroit stop the Colts' run? Because if Detroit does that, they could pull this upset. But I think Indianapolis, with the week off, I think Indianapolis comes in fresh, and I think they just run the ball down Detroit's throat. Next game, we have my Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay is -6.5. I got Green Bay to win in the cover. And remember last week's money pick when I told you to bet Green Bay? It's similar circumstances. I'm not quite there yet. The 6.5 is a bit too much for me, but this is at the moment. And Green Bay is just too explosive. Minnesota can't stop anyone, but also Minnesota has problems on the offensive side of the football. So if you wanted to run to the bank and put $1K or $4,000 on Green Bay, I would not behest you. And sometimes the Green Bay lesson last week, a lot of you disagreed with my money pick for Green Bay over Houston, but I think the lesson is we don't need to get too emotional or dramatic about one game. Green Bay's the better team. Minnesota is really, really bad. Next game, we have the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. Bills are -3.5. I got the Bills to win in the cover, but the Bills did not look good against the Jets, and they still won the game, and you have to give them credit, but they look god-awful at time. I think they attempted 7 or 8 field goals in the game. It was hard to watch, and yes, this Bills defense got pressured on Sam Darnold, but I'm starting to think 3 or 4 of us could rush this Jets offensive line and get some paws on Sam Darnold if given the opportunity. And speaking of another team who looked god-awful, New England did, but I told you they would. I bet against them 2 weeks in a row, but I think this week, let's show more caution. I don't think this is the beat up on New England time. I don't think this is the week where we triple down. I don't think us tripling down is the right strategy. I think Buffalo wins and covers, but watch this with curiosity because I think this is a better game for us to watch than bet on. Next game, we got the Tennessee Titans at the Cincinnati Bengals. Tennessee's -6. I got the Bengals to cover, Tennessee to win, and the Bengals covered last week by 0.5 point. I'll take it. But the Bengals they're getting better, but I'm worried about this defense. But when you think about the Tennessee Titans, they keep teams in games. And Tennessee just does not play a full 4 quarters. That is the reality with Tennessee right now. I don't know if it's a Mike Vrabel problem. I don't know if it's a roster problem, but you saw how they completely just didn't show up for the first half against Pittsburgh. I think Cincinnati keeps this game relatively close. Tennessee wins it in the 4th quarter. Tennessee wins, but Cincinnati covers. Next game, we got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland is -2.5, and I'm going the other way. I'm going the Raiders to run into Cleveland and win in the cover. I think it's going to be physical. I don't think this is going to be a game that you want to show the kids. It's going to be the Raiders pounding them with that big offensive line. That big offensive line should be healthy for the Raiders, should be COVID-free. Make sure you follow that situation before you bet. But that's the main part I'm going in, because if you're running down Myles Garrett's throat, Myles Garrett can't rush the passer too much. And I've seen Cleveland beat a lot with the play action. You saw Joe Burrow do it last week. I think more of that repeats. And then I also want to ask you guys a question. Yes, Baker did play good last week against Cincinnati. We know that, and the stats prove it. But the moxie he showed leading him down for that late touchdown also proved it. But do you think it's going to happen 2 straight times? And I do think this Raiders defense is a little bit better than the Cincinnati defense. Not saying the Raiders defense is anything to write home about. Las Vegas with the upset here. Next game, we got the Jets at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are minus 19.5. I got Chiefs to win in the cover, but let's go back to last week. Remember last week when I told you guys I picked the Jets to cover the 13-point spread, and I got a litany of hate comments saying, Lawson, you don't know how to gamble anymore. You lost your touch. You've only made us $10,000 in the last 2 weeks, but you don't know what you're doing anymore. No, it's because you have to be cautious, and this is the NFL, and whenever you get big point spreads, normally it is best to go against them. Now's the situation where you go with Kansas City to win in the cover, but I was right about that Jets one, and that Jets one covered easily last week. But we have to remember the Jets are the worst team in this league. But let's not even talk talent. I keep going back to this. They're the least motivated team in this league. They're poorly coached, and Sam Darnold is kind of a joke. He really was a joke in that second half against the Bills. I just don't see the Jets being competitive at all. Kansas City wins and covers, but I wouldn't touch this one because we're at 19.5. It's probably going to kick up to 20. I saw the opening line was minus 21. That's just too much points. There's other meat to pick. Next game, we got the LA Rams. -4 at the Miami Dolphins. Money, 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 money. We've won a lot of money with Miami this year. No, we're going the opposite direction. Rams winning the cover. And first thing I'm going to start with is Ryan Fitzpatrick Tua situation. I'm happy Tua's going to start, but this is Fitzpatrick's team. Fitzpatrick was right when he made that argument, and this team has rallied and fought around him. I don't know if Miami's going to have that extra dimension without him, and how good is Tua going to look in his first career NFL game against the Rams defensive line that's playing the best football they've played in since the Super Bowl run? And you have to look at Miami's front seven. Here's the weakness of Miami. Here's how you beat Miami. You get in a big set, you run the ball down their throat, and then you hit them with play action. What team in this league does this better than the Rams? Wait. This is just the Rams game to win. This is pure money pick. I want you running and getting this bet in before this spread ticks up. Next game, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Chicago Bears. New Orleans is -4. I got Chicago to cover. I got New Orleans to win. I think this is a one-score game. But you just don't know what you're going to see out of Chicago. And my issue with Chicago is they can't block anyone. Like, how can we accurately judge Nick Foles on last night's LA Rams performance when the blocking was just an absolute – it didn't exist. It was one of the worst offensive line performances I've seen. Well, Dallas against Washington was really bad as well. I mean, we're seeing some bad offensive line play in this league. So that's where I'm at. I think Chicago keeps it close, but New Orleans wins. Not a lot of science here. Next game, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle is -3, and we've won big with San Francisco 2 weeks straight. But like I said, let's not get over ourselves. Let's not get carried away. Seattle is going to win and cover this football game. And listen, Seattle's got to have a sour taste in their mouth the way they lost to Arizona. That was bad. They should have won that game. They had that game wrapped up. Credit to Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, but Seattle has to come back strong, and I think Seattle does respond. And listen, Seattle, I've been saying it all year. I think they got a weak defense. I think this defense is fugazi. But I don't know if San Francisco's the team to exploit it, because San Francisco, yes, they're going to run the ball. They're going to work play action. But for me, if I'm playing Seattle, I want to air it out. I want to test them. I want to push it deep. I mean, we got injuries to Deebo Samuel. We don't know if he's going to play. So I think Seattle's secondary will survive here. I think they'll be able to stack up and stop the run. And I think Russell will put up more points than Jimmy G. Next game, we got the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia is minus 3.5 right now. Money, 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 money. You don't want to do a money pick with two really inconsistent teams, two teams that are, at this point, we can say they're garbage. But I don't know if I want to put Philadelphia in that category. I think Philadelphia wins and it covers. And the stuff I saw out of Dallas last week was it was despicable, and everyone's been talking about it. But the fact that they didn't fight for Dalton after he took that cheap hit was one of the worst things I've seen in NFL history. Because this is a game of brothers. This is a game of defending your teammates. This is a game of inches. This is a game of blood and glory. And Dallas doesn't have any of that. And I was just rather disappointed. And listen, credit to Dak Prescott, but there shouldn't be a colossal drop-off between Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton. But Dallas simply can't block. And if you can't block, this Philadelphia defensive line will eat and cook you alive. Philadelphia wins in the covers. It's a damn shame this is going to be the Sunday night football game. NFL's got to do something about this. Next game, we got the Chargers, -3 at the Denver Broncos. I got the Broncos to win in the cover. I don't know if this is a money pick yet, but I felt good about it. I'm feeling good about it like I did about Denver and New England. And Denver gets at home. And yes, Drew Lock has not looked good, but I told you that. Even against New England, I told you I don't believe in Drew Lock. I don't think he's a franchise guy, but that doesn't mean Denver can't win games. I think this Denver defense is what makes the difference against this Chargers offense. Denver wins and covers. I think the altitude helps a little bit. Next game, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is -3.5. Wow. I've been right about the Steelers all year until last week. This Steelers team has been a great story. I like the way they're balling out. I like the way they're playing football. I got the Steelers to cover, Baltimore to win. I think this is a 3-point game. I'm not trying to hedge my bets here, but I really do. When I did my calculation, this was a 3-point game, and this is going to be extremely close. And you just wonder, who makes the bigger chunk plays? Are we going to see the big plays out of Lamar Jackson? Are we going to see the big plays out of Mark Andrews? Or are we going to see the big plays out of this Pittsburgh offense? We saw Pittsburgh make tons of big plays in that first half against Tennessee. And also, I want to say something here. I got Baltimore to win and Pittsburgh to cover, but I think this Pittsburgh defense is better than this Baltimore defense. That might be something for you to chew on as this week goes on. Next game, on Monday night, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New York Giants. This Tampa Bay is -10.5. I got Tampa Bay to win in a cover, and Tampa Bay is getting serious. And we don't know when Antonio Brown's going to play. He's going to play soon, but it's not really about Antonio Brown. It's about Tom Brady. It's about the weapons, but it's also about this Tampa Bay defense coming together. Now, the Giants haven't looked all that bad in the last few weeks, but let's be realistic. This Giants team is trash. This Giants team is absolutely terrible. And this Giants team doesn't have any big playmakers. And when you're playing a team with the firepower that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have, you better have some playmakers. I don't think the Giants cover. I think Tampa Bay wins this easily. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. This is the home of the money pick, the best gambling podcast on the internet.